Hello, everyone. Sunil Sunder from In the Zone. Today, I'm honored to speak with Tim Capstraw, the Brooklyn Nets longtime color analyst. Thank you, Tim, so much for taking some time out to speak with me.
I appreciate it. No problem at all.
Hey, I wanted to ask you first, Tim, about the NBA. Said finish up with the bubble in Orlando. Said with several regular season games, the playoffs, and now with the NBA Finals underway between the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that about that.
Well, first of all, I think the NBA has done an unbelievable job of being able to run and organize a professional basketball league in these unprecedented times. I thought they were a leader to our country as far as closing down things. Mm-hmm. And I think they're an example of how to open up things and the details involved. I couldn't be more prouder to be part of the organization, the Brooklyn Nets, but also the NBA. And it has been an unbelievable example to the rest of the country of how detailed and how no stone can go unturned. If you want to have success versus this pandemic, you've got to take care of every possible detail, and they've been able to do that. And I think they've also done a very good job with the production of the games, the competition, the camera angles, the social injustice messages that they're getting out there. I think all in all, it has been nothing short of a spectacular job done by the National Basketball Association.
No, I agree, Tim. And I wanted to ask you, with the Brooklyn Nets, how they fared. I know that they didn't have their full complement of players, said with them down there in Orlando. Just wanted to get your feedback just on how the team, said performed down there in Orlando.
I thought they were terrific. I thought Jacques Vaughn did an unbelievable job. Great job. They played with great energy, passion. The ball movement. We saw the emergence of, we knew Karis LeVert would have to be a big player. Joe Harris, we know what he could do. Jared Allen, I thought, really benefited from it by being a focal point in the offense, also utilizing him in a little bit different ways. He was a passer off the elbows. He was able to do different things. All in all, really, really successful appearance by the Brooklyn Nets down in Orlando.
So, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, coming back healthy next season. Just wanted to get your opinion. Said Tim, on just how do you think the team will do? Said healthy and said with a full squad. Coming back next year.
Couldn't be more excited. I think the entire all NBA fans are excited to see and watch what the Brooklyn Nets are going to be about all next year. Whether it be Kevin Durant, coming back off the injury, he looks like he's going to be 100%. Kyrie Irving, his ability, his talent level, you mix that in with the emergence again of guys that have just developed within the organization. Joe Harris, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, and it goes on. The Nets should be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. I think people will be very disappointed if they're not, and cannot wait to see what they're all about. It is going to be as exciting as any team. I think an awful lot of eyes, again, throughout the country will be on this team, and I think they're ready for it. It's going to be fun.
And of course, can't forget, we have a new head coach in Steve Nash. So I wanted to, get your perspective, said on him, taking over the head coaching, said responsibilities there for the Brooklyn Nets, Tim.
Yeah, I think with any coach, there's always questions, how it's always going to work. But honestly, I didn't see it coming with Steve Nash. If people had asked me who he thought the coach was, I didn't think of it. And after it was announced, I paused. I was surprised. And then the more you thought about it, and then the idea that they're going to keep Jacques Vaughn as part of the coaching staff, and Steve Nash's credibility, his ability to communicate. I watched him in the opening press conference, and I said, wow, man, that guy, I knew he was cool. I knew he was a great leader. I knew his teammates thought the world of him. I knew everybody how everybody thinks of Steve Nash, but it was at a different level. The way he handled that press conference, I think his ability to relate and communicate and deal with guys day in and day out and be able to say, hey, listen, I've been there. I'm a Hall of Famer too. I know what's involved. I'm not saying he was a perfect choice for any team in the NBA, but I thought it was a brilliant choice by the Brooklyn Nets with things involved and then players like Kyrie and Kevin Durant involved right now. And the way Kevin Durant actually worked with him out in Golden State for a number of years, and obviously thought the world of him. So I am excited. I think it was a brilliant move.
Yeah, he's just got a great basketball IQ mind, and just again, as you said, being able to relate to the players, I think is. He knows, of course, said a couple of them in Kyrie and Kevin Durant. I wanted to get your impressions of the Nets playing at Barclays Center. I was going to ask you that, a little bit about, of course, when the team played in Jersey, but just about the Barclays Center, Tim.
No, beautiful venue, great situation. Brooklyn is such a cool place to be. Over the last 20, 30 years, Brooklyn, the emergence of Brooklyn as a scene, is a really unique place to be around. And Barclays Center fits right into the mode of it. And the fact that Brooklyn Nets, I think even the way their uniforms look, the way their atmosphere, the Barclays Center, it is a great place. I mean, and the sight lines of games, I think is perfect. Beautiful venue, set up incredibly well. Now it's got a team that's winning enough where it's created a lot of excitement with who's coming aboard next year. An awful lot to like about the Barclays Center, how it's built, where it's located. Going there for a game is an incredible joy. The atmosphere around the neighborhoods around, wonderful move by the Nets to move to Brooklyn. It took a long time, and I'm from Jersey, so I miss them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was a move that was made that was it's beginning to really show over the last couple of years, especially.
Yeah, I think the first class facilities not at Barclays, but also with the practice center as well for the Nets is just incredible. Just so beautiful, and just again. And what else I like is that the players, how much they're invested in the community as well. They're giving back as well, Tim, also.
Yeah, almost all of them live in Brooklyn. Almost every, I don't know that everybody does now, but I know that for a period of time, almost everybody lived in Brooklyn. And you know how New York is. I mean, you could be a Brooklyn Nets player walking down the street and people might recognize you, but they might not either. They got their own stuff going on, right? and to see, hear like Joe Harris talk about his favorite barista, or wherever he goes for coffee in the morning and he cools out, or guys go to restaurants. I think oftentimes they're recognized, but oftentimes they just fit into the fiber of Brooklyn right now, and they're just part of it. A lot of them, I know that Coach Kenny Atkinson would walk to the practice facility. Other guys live that close and they could get there, and it's a great vibe in Brooklyn, and that's all a part of it.
I wanted to pivot back to when, COVID-19, the pandemic, hit, it said shut the NBA season down. I mean, when that happened, I just wanted, personally, just during that time, just your impressions of just what, of that moment. I mean, I remember watching I think it was a late game. I think it was the Mavericks were playing, I forget who, but that's when they made the announcement about, it said, the positive test, and then the season, eventually, it said they would suspend. But just wanted to get your, feedback on that, Tim.
Surreal experience. We were out and getting ready to play Golden State. We had just beaten the Lakers. It was a great victory for the Brooklyn Nets. We were going to Golden State to play them, and there were rumblings that, obviously this could be the first NBA game played without fans. So I was thinking, I'm going to be broadcasting the game, and it's going to be interesting because people players are going to be able to hear what I say, because there weren't going to be glass booths or anything like that. There weren't going to be fans. And then it went to the next level. You know, I forget all the steps, maybe Rudy Gobert and whatever. I forget how it all played out. But, you know, then the game was canceled. And then we had to fly home, and the flight situation was, you know, different. And that had to get straightened out. And we had to come home. And I was just, you know, without getting into details, I just couldn't tell you how impressed I was with how the sports medicine staff of the Brooklyn Nets, how they kind of took over. There were some team doctors that were heavily involved in the decisions. I remember getting onto the plane to come back, and I travel with the team. I sit way in the back. I don't bother anybody, but they gave you all these, a bag of different things, you know, that make sure you were going to be okay, you know, and everybody was still trying to figure out all the details of the pandemic, and they still are now. Yeah. But the care, the thought, it was kind of surreal. And I thought there was great leadership, though, on the part of the Nets. Their management. I just felt the security of, you know, not just the players. I think everybody was taken care of. I thought, you know, Sean Marks was on the flight. He obviously was the leader of so much. And I just remember feeling, man, this is impressive people in a tough time right now. Look at how they've taken control of this situation. And you got the feeling that everybody, once they arrive, their families are going to be taken care of. They're going to be okay. And anything you need. And I remember receiving stuff. And again, I'm just a radio guy, you know, getting to package it, you know, stuff at home to make sure I was safe. And it's a great organization, the way they care for people.
I have to ask you, Tim, you know, you've been the color analyst since 2002, 2003 season. I believe at one point, I don't know if the streak is continuing here with calling, I think it was 1,100 straight games. I wanted to ask you, you know, having that endurance, but also the preparation, you know, for a game. You know, there's a lot that goes into it. You know, I wanted to ask you about that.
Well, no, I haven't missed the game in 18 years. I think it's getting close to like 1,500 or something.
Okay.
Like that. 100 So I hadn't missed the game. Now, there have been a couple of occasions where I was only in the pregame or the postgame. A couple times, Boomer and Carton once broadcast the game, and I was kind of, but I was there, and I had to do something before and after. So there's a little bit of whatever. But I've been at every game for 18 years. So it has been, I feel like the luckiest guy in sports, you know, or luckiest guy around. I work with Chris Carino. I don't know. You certainly know of him. You've heard him. I can't imagine a more talented person and he's he's really my best friend, because I spend the most time with him. Not because of that, because we are good friends and great friends. And I go to these ball games. I work with him as the play-by-play guy. He's kind of the star, you know. He kind of has to, on radio, play-by-play has to be the star. I'm kind of the secondary guy. It's really fun. You know what I mean? I can't lie to you. But I do prepare very hard, because you never know who's listening. Ian Eagle would always say that to me. You know something? There's going to be somebody turning on the radio for the first time tonight. Yeah. And they're going to get an impression of you. Every time you go on the air, it's always somebody new getting the first impression. Are you going to be good? Are you going to be on top of everything that's going on? Are you going to, you know, provide the information? The preparation is important. But I will say that because it's the NBA, and if you're following the NBA closely, it's not like grueling, the preparation, because you're on top of it. You know the players, but you want to go to that next level, because always something comes up during the game. So oftentimes relationships with the coaches can be helpful as far as information. And again, just having the rhythm and chemistry with the play-by-play guy, at times making it entertaining, at the same time as informative. You want to make sure you're having some fun sometimes. If it's the second quarter of a game, you don't necessarily have to be grinding it out about every detail. And you gotta consider the listener. That's what Marty Glickman used to teach all the Fordham instructors. I wasn't a Fordham guy, but I've been around Chris so long that I consider the listener. So late in the game, I understand it's probably not my time to be yapping because Chris Carino is building the drama. But in the second quarter, if I'm telling a joke or fooling around, well, that's okay. And I don't know, just really lucky, really fortunate. It's a beautiful job, and luckiest guy in the world having it.
That's great. You know, I wanted to ask you about when the team was in New Jersey, you know, playing, you know, of course, in East Rutherford at Continental Airlines and, you know, Izod Center, and then, of course, at Prudential Center in Newark. As you said, you're a Jersey guy. I just wanted to ask you about that, you know, when they were in the New Jersey Nets in those times, Tim.
Well, listen, I thought it was great. I mean, the first year I was worked for the Brooklyn Nets, they went to the finals. It was the second year in a row. They lost to San Antonio in 6. Yeah. Listen, I couldn't believe that. Listen, the Izod Center was rocking during those times. Jason Kidd era, I thought was really special for a window of about 3 years right there. That was about as special as it gets. There was a chemistry. There was you know, maybe a little longer than that, to tell you the truth, maybe 4 or 5 years. And then Vince Carter coming in also. Yeah. They had a window that was, it was fun to watch. I thought they were a brilliantly exciting team. I thought watching Jason Kidd night in and night out, I'm into people that compete and are unselfish. And just the look in his eyes he could give his teammates, and you knew they were going to win the game. He was really, really special. I thought there were nights that the Izod Center was rocking. I thought the Prudential Center had some of that, but there were also lean years too. And they were also tough. And then logistically, it was not a great place for anybody ever to get to. It was always hard to go home from work if you lived there, worked in the city, and then somehow get to the Izod Center or even the Prudential Center. So I understand the move, but there were some, I know there were lean years, but I tend to dwell on those great times of watching Jason Kidd lead a fast break and Kenyon Martin filling behind, Kerry Kidd, or Richard Jefferson, who's still in the Nets right now, filling the lane and dunking, and then the way they could guard people. Kenyon Martin just getting into people and his toughness. It was so much. And Jason Collins, I used to get in arguments about him because I thought he was the perfect glue guy of that mix for that season, and it was good times. I know there weren't enough good times, and it was lean a few of those years. You don't ever want to go 12-70 and say you had a great time, but I never felt that way because I've always, again, getting back to how lucky I am to have this job. So I never felt that way, but I do understand from a fan's perspective, from a coaching perspective, there were some tough times also. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Tim, in addition to the Nets broadcast, you have worked, you know, a number of big events. I mean, I don't think it's any bigger than the 2012 London Olympics, basketball analyst for NBC Sports Network. I wanted to first, you know, talk about that, how much that meant to you personally, you know, being able to, you know, you know, broadcast the Olympics.
That was a big deal to me. That was a big deal. I will say that I wasn't there though. You did it up. It was very, very, very different. We were in little mini studios for all different sports in Rockefeller Center, and it was on the stage where they do Saturday Night Live. So I thought that was even cool. You know, they had all these little mini booths, and you would be calling a game. You know, like you just finished Australia versus Spain, and you know, like doing a game with the play-by-play guy. You'd walk down and you'd see somebody doing fencing. You'd see another guy doing ice hockey. You'd see different, and it was wild. Every little booth had a different game or different sport going on. So, I mean, some of the broadcasters go there, but you see that a little bit more now, more remote stuff going on, and but that was a real big thrill for me to be asked to do that. And it was a big treat. You know, I've also been able. The NBA TV has been very good to me over the years. Me and Chris Carino do the do these global games where the teams play, throughout the world, during the regular season, whether it be in Mexico or Europe or wherever. People all think I'm there, but I'm not. I'm in Sea Caucus, but we get the opportunity to broadcast maybe 5 or 6 of those games on TV each year. So it's nice to mix that up. And I also like to, I sprinkle in some college games along the way. But all in all, just good stuff, really enjoyable.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, Tim, is that, in addition, to Olympics, of course, the FIBA, EuroLeague, as well as the NBA Summer League. So how, if you could just talk about how those experiences also have, helped you along the way, just like, just being able to, participate and just be a part of that. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, again, a real treat, to be part of the NBA, part of anybody asks me to work and talk about basketball. I am just thrilled to do it and talk about the teams. If people are pleased with how you did the job, that is an unbelievable feeling. It's not unlike playing or coaching, because you can have good games and bad games as a broadcaster. So if you've gotten invited to say, I remember years ago, I was doing the NBA Summer League. That was a lot of pressure because a lot of games all day long. And multiple games and multiple players that you weren't familiar with. If you end up doing a good job, you feel really good about yourself. You end up messing it up, it's like, again, coaching or playing. So it may be you overreact and whatever, but I do love the feeling of it is kind of like competition. I mean, you can be good or bad that day. I guess that's pretty much with everybody's job, but those opportunities have been very nice to me over the years. And I welcome any of them. And I also see that a lot of the people I work with, whether it be Chris Carino is an outstanding NFL, broad. He does the Olympics for any sport. Ian Eagle's one of the great broadcasters in our country. Sarah Kustok has broken all sorts of barriers. People love her. Jim Spinarkle, the people at Ryan Rucco is he's just a national broadcaster. Yeah. The Brooklyn Nets got one thing right. I think they crushed the broadcasting area, whether it be on the Yes Network. And I think our radio show, Chris Carino is unbelievable. And so proud to be a part of that, proud to have these opportunities, these extra opportunities. But those guys, if you notice, they get an awful lot of opportunities, right? Yeah. Ian is everywhere. Ryan's everywhere. Chris is everywhere. Sarah's everywhere. Jim's one of the great NCAA Jim Spinarkle, one of the great NCAA tournament people. And so we're all lucky, and we all love those extra opportunities. And, I love watching some of these, certainly the Yes Network people that are my friends, watch their careers blossom and watch them just blow up right in front of you. It's really cool to watch.
Yeah. I was trying to say that it's really cool to see with the NBA. It's truly become a global, league. Like, you talk about Europe and Asia, and it's great to see like the NBA opening up, camps, all around the world. It just, again, you see it now with the draft every year, how many international players are entering the league. I just wanted to find out from you, just again, how great that is to have that, type of diversity and just, again, talent, pool, set in the league as well, Tim.
It is taking an NBA to such another great level, you know what I mean? And think about like all the great players that have come through, but think about now the stars of the league. Giannis, right? He's a star. How about Luka Doncic? How about and then nobody even thinks about it anymore. Oh, he's an international player. They're just players. Yeah. I mean, maybe that's the real compliment, that this is obviously, nobody plays like, he plays a European style. No, you're just really good now. You're really good. You can be from anywhere in the world. And I think the Dream Team helped, like in '92 when the Dream Team played. Yeah. I think that helped in some ways. But even prior to that, Yugoslavia was terrific. Russia was really good. But now now it's all over the world, anywhere, any place, any time. A great player could be coming out of nowhere, and it is really cool to see. And again, it's not even talked about that players are just great now because they're great, and I guess there's national pride in their home countries. But I think when you live here, it's just, oh no, he's just a great player. But I guess if you're in Slovenia and Luka's an MVP candidate, you are out of your mind. You think it's the greatest thing in the world. So I do get, or Giannis from Greece, you know, I mean, everybody, or you can just go on with the different players, and just great stuff.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, Tim, before I said you joined the Nets. You were a television and radio analyst, the Northeast Conference, and also, I believe, also the Atlantic 10. I wanted to ask you how those experiences were, for you, I said before you joined the Nets.
Well, I was a coach in the Northeast Conference, so that really made a difference to me, and they're the ones that gave me my opportunity. So if I didn't have that opportunity, if gentlemen named Ron Ratner didn't say, hey, listen, I know you lost your job, but we'd like to have you start in a little bit on broadcasting. It meant the world to me, because when you lose your job as a coach, or lose your job anywhere, that's a real hard time. But the first thing you want to do is try to look ahead. And the fact that the Northeast Conference said, I want you looking ahead. And I remember the first day I lost my job, I was in the paper. Bruce Beck, I think we all know who Bruce Beck is, right? Mm-hmm. Just an amazing guy, right? Real talent. He called me up. He goes, I want to tell you something. UB Brown once told me, maybe Bruce lost his job one time. I don't even know. He goes, you're not anybody till you've been canned. Right? He goes, I need you to be on my show tonight. You're coming down to CN8. There's an old TV station. Maybe you remember it, CN8. And Bruce Beck would hold the show. I need you to do an NCAA tournament show for us. And you're starting tonight and you're moving forward. Between the Northeast Conference, people like Bruce Beck, people like that, it totally changed my attitude from, man, that's a funky way. When you're getting fired, it's not just the day you get fired. You kind of know for about a year or two that, hey, I better win. So you're in a funk, man. You want to get it going. Yeah. And for that person like Bruce or Ron Ratner, who was at the Northeast Conference at the time, to say, no, you're moving forward now, it meant the world to me. Now, it didn't move forward right away, and I wasn't like a household name. A lot of guys get into broadcasting that are household names in coaching. I coached at Wagner College. So I had to try to grind it out and work at it and really work at it. But the idea that I was able to change my frame of mind from the thoughtfulness of these people was amazing. Because then I would just, instead of worrying about, man, I was a rotten coach, but I got a bad deal. None of that was, it was more, I'm going to practice every day, and I'm going to ask people. And I remember the first person I did a game with, it was a gentleman, another beautiful man that's from the New York sports scene, named Bill Daughtry. Mm-hmm. Bill Daughtry used to do talk shows, right? But he also did games. And I was so enthusiastic about wanting to do it. I said, Bill, I need to come over to your house and practice. We need to put games on. I went over to his house in Union, New Jersey. Could not have been more welcoming. And, got my feet wet. Because here's the thing on anything. You want to act like you're a natural. Nobody's a natural at anything. Nobody's a natural. You need to practice really, really hard. So when you get these opportunities, it's not the first time you've done it. And I think that's where some pro players get themselves in trouble. They think they can just go on TV and do it. Mm-hmm. No, everybody stinks in the beginning. You've got to get used to it. And the one thing about broadcasting, and Chris Carino always reminds me of this, or even Sarah, they make it look so easy so everybody thinks they can do it. Then you do it, and it's not so easy. So, again, I was able to get an awful lot of nice, kind people that gave me support. And I get rambling. I actually forget what the questions are. I get talking so much. But the Northeast Conference and getting started in the Atlantic 10.
Yeah.
and being able to do those games. Without those games, see, when you're trying to get a broadcasting job, you have to have a reel, right? A highlight reel. Or now you just do links. I used to have to make videos and all that.
Yeah.
And you got to prove to people that you can do the job, and that's the only way you can do it. And you can't. And really, in life, what does everybody want? They want a shot. They want a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And these people were able to give me a chance, and I'm so grateful for it.
And not forgetting, you did work for CBS Sports Network, MSG Varsity. So I'm sure, it's building up that portfolio really helped you out, So
something, in the beginning, especially, or even now, I want to do games to get better, to improve, to work at it. So, there's no, I want a job every day if I can get one. You know what I mean? But you don't, I don't know. I'm just lucky to have the opportunities again, because I was not a big name coach. I was one of those people that were, preparation met opportunity, and I got lucky. And because I prepared hard, but I got some very good lucky breaks, and things opened up at the Nets at a strange time. Kelly Shapuka had moved to TV. They didn't really have a radio guy. Chris Carino was on a honeymoon, and he was getting married that summer, so he was a little distracted. They weren't hiring people. And I had to go in for a job interview for the Brooklyn Nets with Lou Lamoriello, who is just generally regarded as maybe one of the great management people to ever be in any sport at any time. And I was incredibly intimidated. But remember, that was the time Lou Lamoriello ran not only the Devils, but the Nets at the same time. So that was a great experience also. So I'm very grateful to him I remember preparing for this interview for probably a couple of weeks. I want to be ready for Lou Lamoriello. He could really roast me up with this interview, and it wasn't like that at all. He goes, he kind of looked at me and goes, "Oh yeah, you basketball people are all full of baloney, so you'll probably be pretty good, and all that." And he goes, "Let's go watch hockey." So we're gonna watch his hockey practice. It was great. So I got all prepared, and it wasn't that big of a deal.
That's great. Hey, I wanted to ask you, one of the accolades you earned was back in 2000, the Metropolitan Basketball Writers Good Guy Award. I wanted to ask you about that, Tim. What that meant to you.
When you lose a lot, people really like you. You know what I mean? Because when you're not beating people, you ever notice that everybody that wins all the time, everybody thinks they're jerks, right? Mm-hmm. You lose a lot, you make a lot of friends. So, anyways, I don't know. I just, so that's kind of probably where it was. It was a little bit to do with that. I think a little bit people knew I was probably going to get canned. It was kind of maybe a sympathy award at the time, but. I pride myself in being a good guy, but that was, I don't know. I don't know if I needed an award for that, but I did see some of the other people that are involved in that, or some of my favorite that have received that award, are some of the coolest people I've ever known. So I'm proud to be a part of that group. So maybe not a good coach, good guy, trying to be a good broadcaster, and I'll take the award.
Hey. You graduated from, Wagner College. I mean, to become, the youngest head coach, not only in basketball, also I think baseball as well. Is that correct, Tim? I mean, just, those distinctions. Still, I know I said it didn't pan out well, but just, I said for that to occur, that had to be special, for you being able to, take over those responsibilities.
Yeah, no, I was 23 years old or 22 or something when I was a baseball coach. That was kind of by accident. Like the coach had resigned prior to the season, and they were, I had been a baseball player, and I was also an assistant basketball coach for a year or two. And they said, well, would you take over the team? And I thought it was I didn't. Baseball wasn't my dream to be a coach yet, but I thought that being able to handle the responsibilities of it, have, no discipline issues, be very organized and do that. I think that eventually got me back as the head basketball coach, because they saw me do that. Then I went from there up to Siena College. We had wonderful success there, and then came back to Wagner as the head baseball coach. So they're kind of interrelated. It was kind of a desperation move to get the baseball job, but it also proved that I could do the job, even though it was a different sport. And very good timing and great people. Again, Wagner was, talk about like your college decision affecting everything else in your life. I mean, like it totally does. And Wagner College was incredible to me as a student, as an assistant coach, as a head coach, and I'm grateful, very, very grateful for that.
I was just curious, what was your major at Wagner College, Tim?
I was a business major. I major. I have,
okay.
I have a master's in business there. It took me about, I think I got, you know, I think that helped me too. I was a hardworking student, you know, so I was a pretty good student athlete. I played multiple sports. I was a walk-on in basketball, but I loved basketball. PJ Carlissimo was actually my coach. And baseball, I was pretty good. But I think academically, the fact that I worked hard in school, I was able to play multiple sports. I have a little bit of a upstate New York mentality of whatever, I don't know, nice guy or something like that kind of wore down people over the time. I don't know. That's how I got the opportunities. Wagner was, but I was a business major. I had gone on interviews to go to Wall Street and all these other things, or entry-level jobs like that. But I had multiple opportunities, and the assistant coaching job opened up at Wagner College for basketball. That's how. And I said, well, that's a dream. That would be a dream come true. And here I am, all these years later. It's almost 40 years later. It's amazing.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, Tim, that you've been paying for it as far as also with volunteer, I said experiences. First, I have to ask you with the sports broadcasting camp held at Montclair State University. I said, I believe you host that with Dave Popkin, I think, who's your broadcast partner in the Northeast Conference. And I believe that it's include guests with, Ian Eagle, Sarah Kustok, and Gary Cohen. Can you talk about that? First, I think that's, it's terrific what you guys do up there.
No, we do some volunteering of it, but the actual camp, I don't want to. I'll take money for that. I just want you to know that. We do some I go out and hustle and volunteer and do things. Come on now, let's not go overboard. But I don't know if anybody's ever been to Montclair State University. Now this year we had to do it virtually. And we do have camps. We actually have some virtual camps coming up right now, some virtual weekend camps. So if you go to sportscasting.com, you can see some virtual sportscasting opportunities, again, with Dave Popkin, Dave Cerroti. We'll have several celebrity people involved. It's really good. It's really good. I can't lie to you. When we've done it as a camp and it's been local prior to this year, it's been at Montclair State University. Gorgeous place. What a beautiful communication center they have there, and highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. There's a lot of kids that want to be sports broadcasters. There's other ones that want to be talk show. But everybody needs to be able to speak well, and kids don't get to do that as much anymore. They're not on the phone. They don't have to get up in front of class. They text. They do this or that. Being able to communicate in front of people is an enormous skill. I think we make it fun. It's enjoyable. And the kids get a lot out of it. I've seen a number of students come in very raw on their ability to talk in front of people. And then by the end of the week, kind of have a lot of reps, a lot of correction, a lot of communicate, a lot stopping. No, you got to be slower. You got to be louder. You got to speak with confidence. You got to have an edge to you. And by the end of the week, I think we do wonders for them, for their broadcasting skills, but really for their overall personal skills. It's really good. Especially Dave Popkin, Craig D'Amico, some really talented people are heavily involved in it. And I kind of ride along and try to help. And but really good stuff. But not volunteer. Not volunteer. That night.
Okay. Another thing is Tim Capstraw basketball camp on I believe the Wayne Police Athletic League. Can you talk? I believe it's 20th or 21st year doing that, Tim.
Yeah, no, I love it. Love it. We got 6 weeks during the summer. Really enjoyable. It's for all levels of ability. It can start as young as 7 years old. It's gotten pretty young, but there's an awful lot of kids. 7 to 15 is probably the wheelhouse of kids. Probably more so in that 10, 11, 12, 9, 10, 11 year 12. Wayne PAL is a beautiful facility, air conditioned. Unfortunately, this year we could do a little bit indoors, but we had to make outdoor courts. But necessity is the mother of invention. Turns out we're going to have outdoor courts in the future because it kind of nice to get outside too. Nice to have flexibility in a day. Sometimes you can be indoors too long. So that kind of good. It keeps me busy. Still running some clinics. I don't know when the NBA season is going to start right now. So I have clinics on Sunday nights and Monday nights out at the Wayne PAL. You got to get in a gym. You got to move. You got to get out of your family's hair. That's what you got to do, right? I drive around, so I need to get out, get in a gym, teach a few kids, keep it, and all the things. I think the big key is, try to get a lot of kids involved. Have parents learn how to teach let parents watch as much as they can, so they can learn how to, in the backyard, do the same instructional stuff that I'm doing with the players. Try to keep it simple. It's recreational. Nobody has to be intimidated that somebody's going to be that good. We have some really talented players. We might move them up in different age groups, so nobody feels awkward. I like how it's gone. I like the balance in my life of having broadcasting in the winter, summer camp in the summer, sprinkling in some other stuff. But it's a weird time right now. That's why I had to get back into the gym. You don't know. Hard to say exactly when the NBA is going to start again, right? This is when we'd be all fired up, right? Didn't last year, not even before mid-October, the season started last year. I think like October 12th or 15th. We did around this time. It's so weird to have the finals finishing up right now. And this is we'd be starting up the normal basketball season. So everything is different right now. But I like to get into the gym. Obviously you got to wear a mask. You got to protect yourself. You got to be smart. But I think if you do things controlled, especially when it's involving a lot of shooting, you don't have to beat anybody up. You're working on that. That's the most enjoyable skill. It's the most important skill. We do a lot of it. And again, gotta stay busy. That's why I'm glad to be on with you today. Got to stay busy.
Hey, I have to ask you. Family's important, Tim. Your wife, Chelsea, and your 2 children, Ross and Kelly. Can you just talk about the support that you have received from them? It said you talk about bouncing out. It said here, with a career. Can you just talk about them?
Well, the worst game I ever coached in my life was on ESPN, and I lost at the buzzer at Rider College. And it was the worst game. It was a buzzer beater. This guy, Derek Suber, made this shot. I got abused on the radio for not guarding the inbounder. Mike and Mad Dog was killing me. He was crushing me. But in the audience of that game was my wife, who asked the assistant coach about Ryder. Who is this guy? Whatever. And the worst night of my life, as far as sports, became the best night of my life personally, because I was able to meet my wife because she saw me there. I didn't meet her. I didn't exactly after the game celebrate and go meet her. I lost but eventually did. It was traced back to that time. So she's I have the greatest wife in the world. So I have Chelsea. I think everybody said, first of all, nobody can believe she's with me. She's so very, very pretty. She's younger than me. It's very awkward sometimes, especially with my gray hair going strong now. It's very awkward. So she's amazing. My son Ross is amazing. A great young guy going to Drew University. My daughter Kylie's a good player. She's getting recruited by colleges. We're all excited about that. I love being in the gym with her to be able to try to correct her, but it's hard coaching your own child. You got to be very careful. Can't say everything. You got to be very careful. But again, really lucky. Really lucky, you know. Got a dog in a pandemic. That's been a nightmare. You know what I mean? I was at dog training this morning. It's unbelievable. So I got a dog now. So I'm like everybody else. But again, you can tell I'm I have a lot of gratitude because of my work, my family. You know, we're healthy.
Yeah.
Things are good. You know, things are good.
Hey, final question, Tim. You might have answered this before, but you know, with people, younger people who want to get into the business of sports broadcasting, or already, you know, said maybe on the inside, what is your message to, you know, said them, especially, you know, during these times, but just in terms of, you know, trying to, you know, succeed in the business?
Well, I think that I think that there are a lot of outlets now. There are a lot of outlets. You can make yourself an important person right now. You don't have to wait for people like you had to 30 years ago. Social media has allowed you to become whoever you want to be. If you you could do a report on your high school girls tennis team and do it from the sideline and post it and just keep doing stuff and just keep working at it. And that's what I try to tell young people. You can have your own podcast now. You can have your own show. You can tweet out anything you want. I tell you what, you tweet out a story about a good athlete in your school, the high school lineman that doesn't get that much recognition. I tell you what, families will appreciate it. You have pictures of them. You interview them. You want to go. You can go interview anybody. You can do reports on anybody right now. You can practice. There's equipment out there where you can have the game on and you can practice play-by-play and record over it. There is access to things that you can continuously practice and make yourself if it's something you really, really enjoy and that's what you want to do. And then like everything else, you better work really hard at it and then study the people that you think are really good at it. Study people, but do it, volunteer, have your own, make it West Orange High School Athlete of the Week, whatever you want. And just interview the person or have them on or do a stand-up in front of where they're playing. There are flat out opportunities that you don't have to wait for somebody to tell you that you can do it. You have the power to do it yourself. So that's kind of how I feel about it. It's like in the zone right now. You're doing this, and nobody. You didn't have to get permission from anybody. This is what you do. This is what you do. You're providing a great opportunity for people. It's great reps for you, great reps for me. We're talking about different people. Keep hustling, keep cranking it out. You can do Zoom interviews. You can do live interviews. You can do games. And you know something? If you're good, you can have a reel. That's all you want it. You want to have a reel, a highlight reel to show people what you're capable of doing. This is what I look like. This is how I sound. This is the poise I have. And then you can, you know, you never know. You could be Ian Eagle's son, Noah Eagle, who went to Syracuse University. You could go to Fordham University, where so many great broadcasters went. You could go anywhere, though, if you're really good. You know, if you're really good, if you're really talented, you can make yourself. Seton Hall, John Fanta. I don't know if people follow John Fanta as much. He's become a star. He went to Seton Hall University maybe 6 years ago and just took over the place. Carried a camera with him everywhere he went. I'm going to interview this guy. I'm going to interview this guy. Now he's on Fox. He's on this. He's a brilliant broadcaster. He's incredibly talented. He's a real guy. He works for the Cleveland Indians now. I think he's an unbelievable example. You know, he's a young guy. He just did it out of hustle and talent, and it can be done.
Well, Tim, it's been a true honor and privilege, speaking with you and just, hearing your background story. Wishing you continued success, said with the Brooklyn Nets, and thank you so much.
No problem, Sunil. Real pleasure.